Now we have moved to our next session. The next session is the talk show of Pacific Disaster Center. They will talk about the interesting topic that is about multi-hazard early warning in Indonesia and the ASEAN region. Without any further ado, we welcome to the stage Joel Meyer from Pacific Disaster Center. Mr. Joel, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, can you hear me okay? And greetings from the Pacific Disaster Center. It's so great to be here, and thank you to our gracious hosts and to Pak Fadli, who is our liaison, again to the AHA Center who has joined us today. Thank you so much everyone. I'm going to take just a few minutes to give you an overview, and I'll make sure the microphone is closer. Thank you. I'm going to be giving an overview. In fact, here is our dear friend, Pak Lawrence Anthony, Pak LA, who has been leading innovation at the AHA Center, the ASEAN Center for Humanitarian Action. So with no further ado, there's an overview of some of our partners, again, from Bencana to USAID to Humanitarian Open Street Map, especially HOP-OSM in Indonesia, Pak Harry, and of course, BNPB, the University of Hawaii, and others. We've been building these deployments of our disasterware platform throughout the region for over 20 years with InAware, a case study that we'll walk through, being used by BNPB and BNKG. You can see that our partnerships are the foundation of what we do here in Southeast Asia. This is a bit of an overview of the regional deployments, and we really appreciate all of your efforts and your feedback when we're crowdsourcing flood alerts with Bencana, working on open data with Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, and again working with BNKG, and of course with the World Health Organization during the COVID response. So this is an overview as we fly through the region. You can see some of the data, this is used in what we call an emergency operations center. And you can see how useful it is with the various time zones. And as we zoom into, in this case, a volcano, when we look at volcanoes and coming from the geologic colleagues working in Jakarta, and as we scale for the Gempa or earthquake, you can see that we do all hazards. And that's something that's I think is very important about this platform. We do over 30 hazards, from volcanoes to earthquakes, fires and floods. You can tell from my accent, I'm from California, we have many of those same challenges. Here you can see the data that we fuse the data to bring it together to make actionable decision support tools for first responders, from BNPB to BNKG to DMRS and the AHA Center. And so here is a video playing an overview showing how we can synthesize data from, of course, the USGS, from the United Nations. We've had a great week of meetings, and thank you to Pak Fadli and LA at the AHA Center, showing how it takes partnerships, and that's why this event is so important. On behalf of Mr. Chris Chiesa, who has led so many of these remote deployments of our technology, and Dr. Aaron Huey, who builds many of the baseline data tools. They have been here for this amazing event with UNPRR. And as we look here, you can see all of the different data from critical infrastructure to airports, and also making sure that the data is on EOC, an operations center, but also on your phone. I encourage all of you to download our Disaster Alert platform, which is also on your phone. It's an app, Disaster Alert, PDC. And you can see here with bed availability, what's happening at the hospital level. And you can also see where is potentially the flooding or the challenges of treatment logistics. We know that logistics are a big part of this. But this video is important because you can see the routing idea. The idea that we can actually route data and find the best way to get from point A to point B. You can see these situation reports that will be uploaded from colleagues from the United Nations, from BNPB, BNKG, and of course across the Indonesian archipelago and throughout the ASEAN nations. So in this case, here you are from a news cycle making sure that the authoritative news and the authoritative situation reports arrive to the first responders and to those that work in operation centers, like Pak Fadli, who's joined us today. And this is the overview, of course, in working with USAID. PDC, of course, is our base in Hawaii, but with staff here in Jakarta and in Thailand and around the world. We greatly appreciate your time to take an overview, give us your feedback. Here's an overview of this InAware system, of course, here in Indonesia, across the archipelago. Really, what happened, where did it happen, and how bad is it? And then what actions need to be taken? So hopefully this is something that, in this case, you can see that an earthquake in Bali, if it's flooding, and also you can see all of the different people that are covered, all of the different response efforts. And of course, this is a great quote from our dear friend Pak Bambang, based there at BNPB's Operations Center. And he says, of course, you need this information and data from InAware, making sure that it's getting the right data at the right time to the right people to make the right decision. And this is really an overview of these sort of quick facts. Over 900 data layers, 1,100 hazards being uploaded, with the provincial level data, making sure it's not just national, and we've allowed 71% of these, but amazing is the number 29. 29% of these hazards are updated by stakeholders in Indonesia. As we pull the lens back to the ASEAN region, the platform is also being used by our colleagues at the AHA Center, Pak Fadli, Pak Ale, and the leadership there. Disaster aware is really a part of what we call multi-hazard early warning systems. And here's an overview from Mr. Chris Chiesa. And Chris we just finished lunch with him. He sends his regards. He has helped build out this platform globally. And as our deputy director, again under Mr. Ray Shokadai, who is our executive director, you can see these ideas of putting contextual data, contextual hazard data, and impact data. We have a new development that is useful for items like a tsunami, like flooding. We call it the event brief. And the event brief allows us to, using our data in the cloud, working with partners, OpenStreetMap, as we, of course, with Ibu Alina Kamal, who's a great stakeholder and a great thought leader to help develop this capability. We are very proud of our partnership with the AHA Center. And for over 20 years, we've partnered with ASEAN. And here you can see the tool being used in an operations center at the AHA Center. So in this case, what's in green, there you see the Koro Banjir. You can see the flood data being contextualized. Of course, throughout the region, I can see from Thailand to other parts of the world to get to the operations center to make those critical decisions. And we also want to make sure, again, that it's authoritative data. So we partner with the World Meteorological Organization, the USGS, UNESCO for tsunami alerts, and other colleagues. And of course, Common Alerting Protocol, not to be technical, is a big part of that. This is the system, and these are who are covered by these nations of ASEAN. Again, covering over 655 million people for a daily operational tool, covering 10 ASEAN nations, and of course throughout being used, of course, by the NDMOs, the National Disaster Management Organizations of Laos, PDR, and Myanmar. So this is being scaled regionally. But again, as you see this in partnership with USAID, you can see the quote from Ibu Adelina Kamal that, again, DMRS has been internalized, mainstreamed, and we built the capacity. That the application doesn't drive itself. We need the humans and the capacity building, the experts who we have here in the room to build this capacity. And of course, this is an example of Typhoon Vamco as we look to the impact that we had in Vietnam. This was very important. You can see using our advanced analytics to see the impact in terms of population exposed, children, the elderly. We looked at using these sphere guidelines to get the capital exposed. In this case, $1.15 billion of capital exposed. So this is giving those analyses used by WHO and UN. And then as we move over to the Philippines, we're very proud of the work there with the Office of Civil Defense for what we call the PhilAware project, which is fascinating. It's been scaled up, and here's an example from Super Typhoon Rai and Costa Odette, which were very large typhoons. And again, of course, we're covering 109 million people with over 2,000 inhabited islands. and 18 hazard types. So this is what we're very proud of, working with colleagues, and here we are with our Undersecretary General here of OCD and the Executive Director of the NDRRMC. This is the feedback that says, again, the system is web-based and accessible online. If you can't make it into the office, you're able to get situational awareness to make decisions. And here's some quick facts. These are the models and the data that we use. And again, the information that winds up into Philaware. This is the system in terms of 1,000 analytical products, over 361 data layers being updated by colleagues in the Philippines. And here's an example of, and this is a landslide event. So as we look at, from Tropical Storm Agatong, this was one of the largest landslide events in recent memory, and the system worked seamlessly, and our colleagues at OCD very much appreciated having this, and there you see it at EOC. We see our colleague Victoria there working out of Thailand on these regional capacity building efforts. You see all of the flags across ASEAN. Very busy region. And we really appreciate your collective feedback as you all use this system again. Thank you, USAID, for the partnership and funding with local stakeholders. And again, benefiting over 645 million stakeholders throughout the region. And really for information sharing, alerting, and warning to drive, again, disaster risk reduction and anticipatory change. So thank you for the regional efforts, and of course to all of our ASEAN member states. We could not have done that without our national stakeholders. And here's an overview of colleagues you see in the EOCs and in the countries of ASEAN using this tool. So again, we really appreciate all of you giving your feedback. And again, from the national deployments, from Philaware to TaiAware, Inaware, where recently, what's great about our partnership with USAID, the upgrades to existing tools from TaiAware to Inaware, and of course DMRS and the technical assistance working with Lao PDR. We've been able to scale this project with stakeholders on the ground. And here we are with them again. We've got experts in the room from ASEAN, and we had a great meeting this morning with POC LA, and of course with all of our other colleagues from Indonesia. This is the type of scaling of capacity building that we've been doing. So this is a good example of deploying with OCD the concept of operations, the SOPs, how do we use this tool, and the ongoing training, working with the Office of Civil Defense, capacity building and making sure that people have the right skills to make the right decision at the right time. TaiAware and of course Inaware. We've been upgrading the platform, upgrading the technology, working on the resilient technology to keep this platform running 365, 24/7. And of course our work in Lao PDR. We really appreciate everyone who's been able to make it here today. We see a big audience, and I see so many familiar faces again from BNPB, BNPB, USAID, UNOCHA, UNDP as well. In disaster, where you can see as we transition to make sure that these tools have a very long life. We coordinate response to daily operations, and we also have regional lessons learned, which I think is fantastic. We build that capacity, we build that institutional knowledge. Here we are with this overview. I'm going to give a bit of an overview as we pull back. Remember, we're not just the Pacific. We'd like you to download our disaster alert application, which is fascinating. I have it on my phone. You can track hazards globally. And here it is, this idea that we use science and technology to help, and we're going to get the right data to your phone, to your desktop, to your iPad, to your other applications, whether you're in the field or whether you're in an operations center. We also make sure that executives and disaster managers have authoritative data. We love crowdsourcing open data, where we get the best data from people who are, again, creating this data from authoritative alerting authorities throughout the world. And of course, as we look here with this scaling throughout, and of course the InvestDM project, we're so glad to be here. And you can see the number of partners that have joined us, from amazing NGOs, as I look through here, from Mercy Corps to USAID to BMKG. This is what's important about partnerships. We really stand on the shoulders of our partners, and throughout the region, people that know the region best. And so that's something that I think is something that is very important. And I think as my slideshow has ended, I want to thank you all for an amazing experience. I will open up the floor if there's any questions. I'd be very much happy to field any questions. And I thank you, terima kasih. floor is open if I see any hands. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to the amazing moderator. Thank you. Terima kasih. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, give applause to Mr. Joel. Thank you so much for your